Human races that people thought existed in the past. Giants. Over time, every human culture has had some sort of belief or legend involving the existence of a super-sized race. While very tall humans, often over 7 or 8 feet, have existed to fuel the belief that there once existed a race of giants, actual giants have been a little hard to come by. Thanks to the internet and a slew of cleverly doctored pictures over the last decade, there has been abundant evidence to show that a race of giants once existed. Okay, so the photos were proven fakes, but it still demonstrates that a fair number of people believe the Earth was home to a race of massive human beings. Fairies. Apparently there are quite a few people who think Tinkerbell may be more real than you know. Fairies have always been rooted in the legends and folklore of various societies around the world. These tiny humanoid creatures were said to live in forests, often keeping out of sight. While some of us may laugh at the people of the past, a recent discovery of fairy remains across the British Isles have had some scratching their heads. Most have written the discovery off as a fake, but there are many who continue to believe that this is proof that tiny winged beings are more real than fiction. Werewolves. A race of humans who transform into hairy, fierce beasts seems to be a bit out there, but people did think werewolves existed at one time. From the 1850s to today, there has been a steady stream of medical records of people seeking help because they thought they were werewolves. In fact, these people were diagnosed as suffering from severe hallucinations. However, their insistence, in combination with the ever-present folklore that men could transform into howling, bloodthirsty beasts, did nothing to diminish the belief that werewolves were a very real humanoid race. The Amazons. Born out of Greek mythology, this race of warrior women were said to have lived in modern-day Ukraine and Turkey. While the most famous Amazon to you and I today is surely Wonder Woman, research by professors in the 19th century and the discovery of a burial site which contained taller than normal women near the Ural Mountains in Russia suggests to many that the Amazons may have been more real than myth. They were said to be strong and fierce fighters who lived separate from men. There is evidence to suggest that this is true to some degree, but researchers are probably still looking for the bulletproof bracelets and the invisible plane. Vampires. From Eastern Europe to Egypt to China, the vampire has been a central figure in folklore and myth for hundreds of years. Various regional beliefs, mixed with the imagination of writers, turned the vampire into a very real figure over time. In Europe, for instance, the ability of writers like Bram Stoker to blend myth and imagination with a very real figure of Vlad Tepes, a Romanian prince, gave the vampire greater credibility among the population. Today, most of us may laugh at those who think vampires are real, but not too long ago, the idea was not that far-fetched. Lemmies. For thousands of years, people recorded stories and believed the tales concerning these headless humans. Greek historians first wrote of Blemmies in the 5th century when they described a race of men with their faces on their chest. Ancient Roman and 17th century English explorers continued the story by recording the existence of these strange humans. Today, we have no evidence of their existence, but it is clear that for much of recorded human history, the Blemmies were believed to be very real. Perhaps they were a race that had really bad posture, or maybe their style of dress gave explorers the impression their heads were on their chests. We'll never really know. Mermaids. One popular humanoid creature which sailors saw and talked about often was the mermaid. Half human, half fish, the stories of the mermaid spread around the world as fishermen and explorers traveled further and further. Today we know this race is more folklore than reality, but to a tired or lonely sailor staring off into the vastness of the ocean, a distant dolphin or manatee was often all the brain needed to concoct a story of a sexy mermaid swimming among the waves. Hobbits. Okay, so these aren't hobbits like in the famous literary series, but the discovery of extremely small remains on an Indonesian island has more than a few people linking J.R.R. Tolkien's story with this find. Discovered on the island of Flores, the human remains are very small and suggest a race of humans who stood no taller than 3 feet. Experts are divided, with many saying these diminutive humans were so small because they suffered from a degenerative disease. Others, unconvinced by the experts, believe these are in fact the remains of a hobbit-like race which once existed 12,000 years ago. Basa-wan. If North America has Bigfoot and Asia has the Yeti, then the people of Spain and France have the Basawan. Unlike the other large creatures mentioned, the Basawan has been described as more human-like, with the ability to talk and develop technology. These large humanoids are said to have lived in the Pyrenees Mountains, where they helped farmers with their herds of animals. Many people think they were actually a relative of the Neanderthal, dying off only centuries ago. To put a spin on things, there are others who say the Basawan isn't extinct and that recent unexplained encounters and grainy pictures suggest the creature is still alive and well, living in the mountains. We hope you found this video fascinating. Here are another couple of videos that we think you might like, and don't you dare forget to click that subscribe button. Thanks!